If I could go back to the first couple of years of my coaching business, I would tell myself, stop doing that. Transitioning from a high-level corporate career to become an entrepreneur will be one of the hardest shifts you will ever make. And looking back, I realized I was doing 7 big mistakes, even though I was working really hard. These weren't any small errors. They are mindset and strategy traps that most coaches fall into without even realizing it. And in this video, I'm going to break down all of those 7 mistakes so that you can skip them and going straight to signing clients. So if you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and start treating this like the profitable business that it can actually be and should be, then let's dive in and start with mistake number 1. The very first mistake I made was completely downplaying my corporate background. When we leave corporate and we're starting our second career to become coaches, we often feel as if we're starting from zero, when it's actually the complete opposite. You have a huge backpack of knowledge that you can just bring with you into your new business. But instead, we tend to think that I'm new at what I'm doing now. I'm a beginner. And we think we have to build authority from scratch because it's a completely new niche. And that's a massive error. I spent way too much time feeling like a beginner, even though I had decades of knowledge in strategy, leadership, and also solving problems. I was afraid and I hesitated to claim my space because I hadn't been a coach for 10 years. But here's the truth. Your corporate experience, that is your competitive advantage. It is your proof of concept. If you have managed teams or budgets or big projects or whatever it might be, use that to your advantage now because it is relevant and clients buy certainty. They want someone to walk the path before them. So when you don't talk about your past, you're actually hiding the thing that will make your clients trust you. And while we're talking about that, let me know in the comments below, what did you do before you became a coach? Are you talking about that at all in your content? So don't delete your past, leverage it. That is your strength. You are not a beginner. You are actually an expert. You're just pivoting into a completely new vehicle. Start owning that boldness. Mistake number 2 is a classical marketing trap, and I fell completely straight into it. I became so convinced of coaching and what it can do when people really lean into it. And I started talking about what my clients needed, not what they wanted. In my old project management roles, I was so used to figuring out as fast as possible what the problem was and outlining the path to actually get to a solution. And that's what I wanted to do with my clients too. And with your training and with the clients we've already worked with, you start seeing patterns and you see that what you see on the surface, what they are talking about, is not really the root cause of their problem. And you just know that they need some mindset work or they need to reset their nervous system. But that's not what they think, and it's absolutely not how they talk either. Because nobody walks up in the middle of the night saying, I just think I need to fix my limiting beliefs today. No, they might wake up thinking, I need more clients. I need to quit that job. I need to get out of my marriage. Whatever it is, the problem that you're solving, you need to address what they are thinking when they wake up in the middle of the night. They want the results, but they need the process, but they don't want to hear about the process. You need to sell them the destination, not sell them the journey that will actually take them there. And you can talk about this both in terms of their desires, but also in terms of their problems, issues, and fears that they are experiencing right now. And you have to talk about how this will look like. You have to paint the picture of what it looks like on the other side once they have crossed that bridge, once you have helped them solve the problem. And once they are inside of your program, that is when you give them what they need. But if you lead with the need, your marketing will sound like a chore and not like the solution that they want. Mistake number 3 is a big one, and it relates to how I priced and packaged my services. This was a combination of bad strategy, but also imposter syndrome. First, I did what everyone usually does. I Googled my competitors. I tried to figure out what is everyone else charging for these services. And then I decided my pricing based on that. And I actually went a little bit lower than that because I was thinking, I'm a beginner, right? I need to be lower than those who claim to have been successful coaches for years. And then I fell back to what I learned during my coaching training. I sold packages of 5 sessions. But the truth is, no one wants to buy your sessions. They want to buy the solution of the problem that they actually have. So it was a disaster for that perspective, but also from the perspective that I didn't even add a timeline of those 5 sessions. And you know how it is with coaching. Usually people walk into coaching thinking that this will be like a walk in the park, but when they hit the 3rd or 4th or maybe 5th session, that is when it gets a little bit harder. That is when they realize that they actually need a change. I had clients who then said, I'll save my sessions for later. That meant that those clients that I had worked so hard to get into my coaching business, they didn't get the transformation because they didn't work through all of the sessions. It was a little bit of a nightmare, and it killed the momentum for my clients. And not only that, I also started getting this nagging thought in my head. Are you really cut out for this? Is this really what you want to do? And I was very, very close to just shutting down my coaching business. And when it comes to the pricing, I was also afraid of charging higher ticket because I didn't really know how to get those client results. You can't get the results if you have to quit working with the clients mid-transformation, right? So it was very hard in the beginning. So if you are doing this, or if you're thinking about doing this, to selling your coaching sessions for a low hourly rate without an end date, you need to stop doing that now. I want you to start packaging your services, selling the transformation, selling the result that your clients will get, and that will help you to move your business forward way faster than if you tried to sell coaching sessions. And in the end, you're selling the result, not the number of Zoom hours that you spend with the clients. The 4th mistake was actually the mistake that cost me the most money. When I started, I wanted to be successful fast. So I was looking around and I thought, who is the most successful coach out there? And I looked to the 7 and 8-figure coaches. And I figured if I learn from the top 1%, I will get there faster. But here's the reality check. An 8-figure coach has completely different problems compared to what you might have trying to reach your first or your next 6 figures. They are worried about team culture, ad spend, their whole operational excellence. You should focus on validation, organic outreach, and client conversion of your organic reach. So when I invested in those mentors, I was handed strategies that were way too advanced compared to where I was back then. I didn't even dare to post back then. And then he told me to go live on stories every single day. There was a huge gap between where I was to the strategies that they told me that I needed to apply. I suggest you invest in a mentor who's just a few steps ahead of you. That way you will walk so much faster and you can always upgrade to the next mentor after that. Mistake number 5 is probably more of a beginner's mistake. That is to think that you have to feel ready before you're actually showing up. In the corporate world, there is always a little bit like a protocol. You get the training, you get the certification, and you get the permission to show up. In entrepreneurship, you can't wait for the permission. You have to give yourself the permission to actually dare to show up. Here's what that looked like for me. I spent months on tweaking my website. I spent 10 months to try to build an online course that I hadn't validated with anyone. I thought I needed a logo. I thought I needed 3 different offers before I could even open up selling offers at all. I even thought that I needed the certification before I could start accepting paying clients. All that is not necessary. I was actually hiding. I was procrastinating, waiting for the right moment to press that publish button. But the thing is, you can't think yourself into becoming confident and braver. That only comes from training that muscle, from doing these small steps and to actually dare to show up. It actually comes from taking action. Today, I wish I had started messy. Today, I wish I had gone live on stories every single day. Today, I can just wish I would have done that. What I know today would have catapulted my bravery into the abyss. It would have been amazing. So show up before you are ready. This next one is one of the biggest light bulb moments. And actually, we spoke about permission before. And it was when I heard it, it was a little bit like a permission for me to think that having your own business is actually boring. If you think it has to be fun all the time, what you're doing is you're just reinventing the wheel. Stop chasing the fun tasks, creating new carousels, creating new content, thinking that you need to create new offers. Because what you do then is you're not refining, you're just reinventing. And here's the hard truth. Running a business, a successful business, that is boring most of the time. Because real growth actually comes from the rinse and repeat process, from refining what you have already tested. And here's how that showed for me. In my head, told myself that this offer wasn't good enough. It was the wrong ideal client. I was trying to solve the wrong problem. So even though I sold my offers, I got people into my programs, I thought this wasn't good enough. I thought that I had to create new offers. And it wasn't until actually 2 years ago that I started to think in terms of, what am I doing? I need to run the same offer again so that I can really see that my clients are getting the results long term, not just short term. You need to think the compounding effect of how that actually affects not only your business, but also your clients. Because if they implement what you teach them to implement, let's say over 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, if they continue doing that for the rest of their life, what are the results that they will have then? That is the compounding effect that I really want you to think of. Even if you're selling a shorter time program, what is the long-term impact of your program? What will that make for your clients? And while we're talking about offers, it actually leads me to mistake number 7. And this is the toughest one, because this is the reason why I'm not making enough sales. I was not clear about that I actually had offers. I thought that just showing up, being helpful, chatting with people in the direct messages, that would actually lead to new clients. But what it led to was that I got stuck in the friend zone. And you don't want to be in the friend zone, because when people look at you as friends, they don't think that you are the authority and expert to help them solve that particular problem. They will go to your peers instead. People won't just land on your homepage and press the button, work with me, and pay through PayPal or Stripe immediately. You have to invite the people actively into joining your programs or sign up for your one-to-one services. People are busy. They need you to tell them what to do to actually help them solve their problems. I just wish I would have been bolder earlier, saying, this is what I do, this is who I help, these are the results that I help people get, and here's how you and I can work together. Because if you're not making any offers, if you're not making any revenue, you don't have a business, you actually have a hobby. You're not a charity. You need to make revenue. And the more money you make, the more people you can make, the more impact you can have too. Don't just share tips. Talk about the transformation. And then you help people to actually get on that transformation journey with you. There are probably a bunch other things that I wish I would have done differently. But those are the first 7 that I can come to think of. So if you recognize yourself in any of these 7, don't beat yourself up. You can change today. Just pivot. Change your strategy today. Look at all of these 7 things that I just shared with you. Owning your expertise. Selling the want instead of the need. Package your services correctly. Hire the right mentor. Take messy action. Dare to do the bold things today. Embrace boredom, and then make clear offers. Pick one and start doing that today. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future updates or future videos. Love to see you here in my next video.